All right, so if you're still watching, I would like for you to comment what your best advice for me to just, what slideshow presentation should I do on the show next week to fill up time? I'd love your thoughts on that. Comment below, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your uncle, and also tell that uncle that nobody talks to in the family. It's TexAgs Rewind. I'm going to do a personal story real quick, and then we're going to segue back into football. And it's not personal, it's about my parents. I'm doing this as a PSA to older folks out there. Do not click on links that are sent to your email. Done. If you're over the age of, give me an age, OB.
60, 50.
64.
64.
Do not click a link. Yesterday morning.
Did they send some money to a prince?
Almost. And my mom almost did it. Like, was going to the bank. Like, she's listening, going to get real mad at me. And like, hey, David, you shouldn't say that on the radio. She got an email. Microsoft said her computer had been hacked to click this link and to call so-and-so. She calls so-and-so. They're on the phone for hours, like multiple hours. And he's telling her, oh, yeah, your phone's been hacked. Your email's been hacked. We're going to need you to give us this information, that information. We need to move money here because they're going to take money out later. We see it already happening. They say, call Bank of America. And they have they give her a number that looks like the Bank of America number. She calls it. She's on the... And my dad texts me, yeah, we've been hacked. And I call and I go, what's going on? And I hear her like about to give password information out. And I go, Mom, put me on speaker right now. Put me on speaker. They're getting angry with me. David, we know what we're doing. Put me on speaker. How do I know you work at Bank of America, sir? He starts arguing with me. Already knew. He was going to have her go to the bank and move money to a certain account to save it from being... I'm like, Mom, don't use the internet anymore. Because they're so sophisticated out there.
Oh, yeah.
They'll get anybody, not just old people, by the way.
Yeah, just don't really...
Don't click the
if
link.
there's something wrong, let them turn off your lights and then go down and say, okay, I need my lights back on and deal with somebody directly. Don't do anything over the phone or over the internet.
That's exactly what I told her. I go in person. And they went in person, and luckily nothing had happened. They were able to, but I go, in today's world, it actually happened to me not too long ago. Not that I was hacked, but I Googled the phone number for customer service of a company. Well, the hackers know that you do that, and they put their number, and somehow it pops up. And I called, and in the middle of my conversation, I'm like, this doesn't sound like Apple TV, whoever else calling at the time. And I started asking questions, and they couldn't answer. I'm like, I'm out. Bye. Just by Googling that number.
Yeah, it was actually just in the last 2 weeks, I had a kind of similar situation, and I called my credit card, my credit, and I said, "Is there any activity?" They said, "No." I said, "Thank you."
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
So that's just a little PSA out there because
there's a bunch of scumbags out there trying to take advantage of people.
Yeah, and they're so sophisticated that you really feel like, we're going to transfer you to a different department, and they have the whole music, the whole thing, and just go in person. I wouldn't mind, other than going to TexAgs, I wouldn't mind not using the internet very much.
Yeah, but always go to TexAgs.
Daily.
In fact, you should probably not use the internet for anything but TexAgs.
TexAgs.com/subscribe, some might say.
Yeah, if you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? If you're listening to the show, go subscribe.
I haven't heard that fake David voice in a while, and I'm glad to hear it before I leave for vacation. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
I like the Hispanic.
Want to do my mom?
Yeah,
I like the Russian one that he does.
I don't even know how I get to that. I think I have 3 voices, and they're all the same.
And see, I try to do voices, and they just sound like me trying to do voices.
Yeah, who was it that you did the other day?
It just sounds like gravel in a blender.
It was Jim Moore was saying playoffs, and someone said, "Yeah, that just sounds like old saying playoffs."
It did sound like that. Can you do Ivan Drago? I will break you.
I will break you. See, now I can't.
Sounded more like Liam Neeson.
If he dies, he dies. I can't. I can't do voices. I can barely do mine.
What are you banking on, sir?
We talked at the beginning of the show how there's nothing going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm banking on Quentin Jackson earning a whole lot more than a 10-day contract from the Washington Wizards.
Why did you take mine? I got
that's what you're
100% mine. That's the only thing happening, but I believe it, and you believe it too.
I really do. Quentin is he's a really good basketball player. Now, he's not going to be that guy that's going to go out and score 20 points a game for you in the NBA, but I do think he's a guy that's going to be able to do so many things. Very Caruso-esque, where, he's a good teammate and he'll do all the dirty work for you and then have the ability to score 20 points on a given night.
I'm going real easy on this one. A&M being a mainstay in Omaha, and by mainstay I think this year, next year, the year after, they're gonna have they're gonna have to have a timeshare in Omaha, but that's how often they're gonna be there during the Schloss era.
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
I'm good with it. I think we should go ahead and book a room at the Fairfield, 3 rooms or 4 rooms at the Fairfield right downtown, because I want to get my Marriott points.
Well, I found out you're my roomie in Atlanta.
Bring earplugs. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I always say, wake me up, and I'll stay awake as long as I can to keep, so you can fall asleep.
Yeah, I asked yesterday on the show for OB, Billy, in the audience, your favorite moment of 2022 baseball. So I'd like to hear from both of you your favorite moment. And if you got 1 or 2 that you want to throw in, this is, you can expand.
I mean, Scott, where do you start? There's so many of them.
There is.
There's so many of them, and I know Olin's putting together a list of them. But for me, Dylan Rock's grand slam and Jack Moss's cycle in Austin immediately sticks out. Jacob Palish's heroics, 2 saves against the top 5 team at home against Arkansas, that sticks out. Ryan Targach's 1,000 feet of for 2 home runs at Nashville against Vanderbilt, that sticks out. Micah Dallas in the SEC tournament when you needed him most, finally getting back on the horse, that sticks out. Clinching to go to Omaha when you didn't expect it to happen, and going 5-0 in your first NCAA tournament games, sticks out. There's so many of them. Beating Texas is in the College World Series is definitely at the top of the list, and then can't not mention Nathan Detmer's start against Notre Dame. I mean, there's so many of them. It's really, really hard to pick a favorite.
I think the Friday night against Arkansas, backed up by the Friday night against Vanderbilt, what Nathan Detmer did in those 2 starts was amazing. We talked about the offense. It might have also been Georgia before that, as far as the 3 starts in a row that it was. Nathan Detmer was tremendous against Georgia as well. That kind of set the starting rotation back in a great spot. What they did on Tuesday nights after the meltdown against Houston, when you played when in a 4-week stretch, when you beat Texas, when you a top 10 Texas, a top 10 Texas State, and then a top 10 Dallas Baptist. Those are huge momentum builders for the program.
Run rule against Dallas Baptist.
When, it was kind of like Dan Hefner just waved the white flag and said, hey, we talked about this kind of in the pregame. I had not seen a top 10 team get run ruled on a Tuesday night in a long, long time. To go to Ole Miss when they were the hottest team in the country, kind of throwing A&M out of that mix, and winning 2 out of 3 was huge.
Yeah,
that was tremendous. Detmer, and Moo Menifee. Micah Dallas and Moo Menifee against Florida in a run rule game there, giving up 1 hit to a Florida team that was really, really good. The walking off Louisville, Billy talked about that as well. So, and then just the College World Series was special.
What's crazy about that is both Scott and I just gave pretty long lists of fantastic moments. Neither of us mentioned coming back from a 9-run deficit against South Carolina.
Yeah.
And neither of us mentioned the 7-run 9th inning against TCU.
Yeah.
Well, and so let's talk about Ruben Owens. I forgot to ask you about this. I got a little, I don't know if dragged is the right word, but the Louisville fan base was not happy with me because I said, when you sign the number 2 wide, or you get a commitment, not sign, from the number 2 wide receiver who's from California, Los Alamitos, about 45 minutes from where I'm sitting right now, and you get the number 1 ranked running back from the state of Texas, and you're Louisville. I mean, we're not talking Clemson. We're not talking Ohio State. We're talking Louisville. I said, I hope, is Nick Saban going to have a press conference about this one?
Right.
Are we going to crush Louisville? Are we going to Is sliced bread going to come out of retirement to talk about Louisville? Because whatever Texas A&M is accused of, and the tweets are still up, I don't really care, but I said, whatever you think happened at Texas A&M, and we've talked about why that's nonsense, but whatever people think has happened at Texas A&M, what's happening in Louisville right now is 10 times more weird, sketchy, whatever term you want to use, than what happened at Texas A&M in February of 2022.
Yeah, we're talking about Louisville basketball, right? Not football. There's no way they got the best couple of wide receivers and running backs in Louisville football. We're talking – oh, wait, you're talking football.
You know, Ruben, he wants to be a trailblazer. That was what he said in his little statement after he committed. And what I said about this at the time was there's two really good reasons for schools to have unexpected recruiting success. New first-year head coach, brings excitement, brings energy, or you're coming off a great year. Michigan State right now is recruiting really well. That kind of makes sense to me. Texas A&M, I know people want to put their thoughts out about Jimbo Fisher. Most of that class committed off of a 9-1 year where you were, you could have easily made the college football playoff. Louisville's coming off a 6-7 year. Their coach is on the hot seat. But now all of a sudden, a kid from wherever in Texas, you know where he's from, not me. Now it's just his dream to be a game changer and to be a program changer and a trailblazer at Louisville. At Louisville, come on now. I mean, I like I said, I just hope Sliced Bread comes out with his latest column on this one. I hope Nick Saban has a meeting with his donors about this one, because this is so much more egregious than anything that Texas A&M has been accused of.
You know, what I'll say to that, though, is I think kids have their reasons, right? Whatever reasons that may be, and kids also change their minds. So right now, the connection with Louisville makes sense. There's a coach he connected with, the community, his teammate, whatever it may be, right? And I don't fault people for a decision that they make, but because they're young, I always wait. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome into TexAgs Rewind, presented by T-Mobile. Visit T-Mobile.com/across-America. That way you can learn about value and coverage that T-Mobile provides. So on the show today, it was a show that, I was kind of sad. Baseball's done. I got to wait a few weeks for football, but it's all right. We had some good times. So we talked a little bit about some random stuff on the show. It was very random. All right, just go ahead and tell you, one of the things we talked about, don't get hacked, because my parents got hacked yesterday. Not good. We had bank on it. OB's took mine. He's banking on Quentin Jackson, so you still need to watch because there was some more content behind that. The baseball bunch, that was fun because we did a full hour without Ryan Broniger, which was the best part. But beyond that, we broke down what the season looked like, what the future's going to look like. It was a really in-depth conversation about that. And then Aaron Torres, we talked to all things sports, college football, college baseball, Arch Manning, you name it. It's TexAgs Rewind. I'm still going to count on my fingers.